Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, Joe McCall with the Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the land portal. Have you heard of this tool? I've got a lot of clients and people that I'm doing land deals with that have been bugging me, not bugging me, that sounds negative, but in a good way, have been like, hey, have you heard about the land portal? And I have. And I'm like, so yeah, but what's so exciting? What's going on? It's amazing. You got to check this out. You got to get Daniel on your podcast. And so this is a cool thing about this tool. It's a software that uses AI to find potential land deals. And I don't want to steal Daniel's thunder because he's not going to have anything less to talk about. But I've been looking into this. I've been digging into it. I'm excited about it. And it's a great way to get a list of vacant landowners that you can't get any other way. And it's basically, if you wanted a way to pull property that for sure has no building or structure on it, that is really actually vacant land. If you only want property that has 200 feet of road frontage, if you only want property that for sure has road access, you can set up these kinds of filters using the AI generated land tools and the functionality that the land portal has. And so I messaged Daniel. I said, hey, can I get you on my show? And we can talk about this. I want to let my audience, people who have my program, people who just listen to this, see it and figure. And I'm excited about this because nobody else is doing this. This is a great resource and a great tool. And we're going to talk with Daniel Apke here in just a second to talk about how this actually works, what all the buzz is about. You guys ready to talk to him? Should we? Daniel Apke, what's going on, man?
Hey, thanks for having me, Joe. That was quite the intro.
Well, thanks. You're welcome. And I'm glad you're here. You've been working at this a long, long time. And before, real quick, we jump into the tool, will you tell us a little bit about how you got into land investing and what were you doing before that?
Yeah, I had a 9-to-5 job, just like most people who start out. I had a 9-to-5 after I graduated college, and then started investing in real estate, bought a salon, did some real estate rentals, things like that. Ultimately looking for, just more freedom, way to quit my job. Found out rentals was a hard way to do that. It's doable, of course, but just more leverage you needed, just more banking, all that stuff. It was a little complex. And it just wasn't as transactional as I'd liked it to be in terms of just monthly cash flow. That got me in to e-commerce while I was doing rentals. I ended up starting an electric bike company. I had a publishing company, and I did a bunch of e-commerce. I was in all kinds of spaces. I sold those businesses. I sold my e-commerce electric bike business out to an investment group in California. And while I was transitioning out of that, one of my mentors, Joe and Mike Brusca, were like, hey, have you heard of land investing or flipping land? They started doing it, and they did it a lot different way than what we did, but they kind of introduced me to the supply and demand of land and the idea that you can buy it way under market value and find ways to flip it or subdivide it or lease it out like a lot of people are doing. And then I started looking, and I was like, no one's in this space, and there's so much land around. We dove full force. We started sending out mailers. My brother and I partnered up. He was a college basketball coach. I was transitioning out of my job at the time. He was working 80 hours a week. But he, as a D2 college basketball coach, you don't make much money. So land investing was like that solution to bring in a lot of cash flow for us. And we dove in and we started doing tons of deals. We started scaling our company, hiring, and just really took it off from there.
Nice. And you saw a need in the market, right? And talk about that. Why did you create this software? There's a ton of companies out there that provide lists and data. Why this?
Land investing is a small niche, so none of these companies are specific to land users for the most part. There are a couple out there, but no one really took it full force from a software perspective into what I envisioned. And I saw just a massive need to combine a great mapping tool with great data, with land-specific data and AI tools, and a lot of different things we created. There's a massive, massive gap in the market. So I met with my brother a couple of times, and we had the idea going on and off our head for quite a while. I've never created a software company from scratch, so it's a whole new space for me. But it was really, really fun, and I enjoy it. And this is my baby, and I work on it every day. And it's just, there's such a big gap there. It's so obvious in my head. There's no other way to go.
Cool. And you're still using this in your land investing business today?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We use this. I mean, this is the tool that I wanted. So I literally created, hey, what do I want to see in what places and how is it, like how it's organized was what I wanted to see. And then the cool thing about the land portal though, what are change like the changes that we make and the implementations and improvements comes from the community. We have, I look at every single email that hits that inbox and we get thousands and thousands of them now. And we have customer support people, but I go through every single one just to see what the users want, what their issues are, what they want to see in the future. And then we have community in Discord and stuff that we do surveys and a bunch of stuff. So the users dictate the next steps for this every single time, which is what I love. I just love to listen. It's really easy when it comes down. It's just the basics, listening and then implementing. And you hear the same things over and over again. They're like, hey, can you get this tool? Then you hear it 10 more times in the next month. You're like, oh, we should probably look into this and implement it.
I love it. All right. So guys, listen, if you are interested in getting this and getting a free trial, go to joemccall.com/land portal. It's right there on the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. And by the way, if you're watching this or listening to this rather as an audio podcast, please go to my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, do a search for Joe McCall, do a search for Joe McCall Land Portal, and you will see this video. And we're going to demo the software right now. I can't wait to show it to you. So you can see kind of how it works and why I'm so excited about it. But to get a free trial, I do get a commission from it. But go to joemccall.com/land portal. All right, cool. Let's share your screen here. I'm going to bump this up here, Daniel. We see the land portal website. We see a big old map of the United States. Okay. What are we doing now?
Let's get into it. So the software can be used from a few different ways. One, due diligence on properties. That's probably the second, like due diligence and mapping. It's probably the second or third tier that it's used for. The main thing is exporting data. Like you said, we have a lot of land specific filters, and we do this by a combination of AI and a bunch of things I'll walk you through. So we'll start with the filters here of just exporting your data. A lot of people in the past use different sources like big multi-million billion-dollar companies that aren't specific to land. This is created for land. And Joe, the first thing I want to point out that you mentioned was, and we have over 150 filters, I believe now. We really expanded our filters out. We have an advanced search, but people listening to this podcast are probably looking for vacant land. This was one of the first buttons we developed. Properties with no structures identified with AI. This is scanning from a visualization on satellites. It's also looking at county records. It's comparing the two, and it's going to remove structures from properties, especially in places like Kentucky, Alabama. Appraised data is not great. 20% of the properties are going to have structures on it in a lot of these places. So that was like the very first thing in our bread and butter when we first started. That was the first thing we ever did there.
Let me tell you why this is so important, guys, because I understand working with data companies and trying to get this data. Not every county has the same classification for vacant land. It could be just classified as agricultural land. There could be a building on it. There could be a house. It's just not classified. I've seen vacant land classified as single family residence before.
Oh yeah.
And so you can't just use a classification, and every county has different ones. So sometimes it gets so complicated. You have to like always be testing and tweaking and trying new different criteria. And it's not enough to also have as a criteria where the square footage of any structure is 0. Because sometimes that won't bring anything up, even if there is nothing there, right? Sometimes there's little tricks that you can do where you can say, all right, assessed improvement value is 0. That still sometimes doesn't work. The thing I love about this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, but you're using AI to look visually at a satellite image, in addition to the regular classifications that counties give for zoning and all that. But you're also looking at the image to see, all right, is there really a structure here or not?
Yeah. And it knows the size of the structure too, which is, it's not going to remove barns. It's not going to remove a little container that's on the property, for storage, things like that. So it knows the size. And that's the crucial thing, because a lot of vacant land does have little structures on it. It's not removing those.
That's awesome. So when I heard that, listen, there's nobody else that does this. Nobody. All right. So let's show that or talk about more about the filters. I'm getting ahead of you.
Yeah, let's go. So if we're going to filter, so you can obviously choose state and county. I'll just go up to Ohio for the sake of this. I'll go to Ashtabula County, Ohio, which is in the Northeast on the border of Pennsylvania. And then you can search by cities, or you can remove cities and zip codes, things like that. Then you get down to your acreage, whatever you want to do. You can filter by acreage or lot square feet. The MLS listing is to come, so ignore that. We do have MLS data coming on, so you'll be able to cross-check everything on the market as well. You can get, so the filters I'm showing you now, Joe, before I get ahead of myself, these are kind of the standard most used filters. When you click advanced filters here, you have a bunch of mortgage data, lien information, assessor's data. This is all of the filters. And then we put the most commonly used ones in this little card here on the left. So you can use both of them.
Yeah, well, I saw one in there for the last market sale date.
Yes, and that's right here. Before I get to that, the land use has been a really interesting one that when I look at the heat map of what people are using, this has been a big one. And this is traditional, like if you're using data tree or something like that, a lot of people are doing land use to get it. But what people are doing with ours, they're using this vacant lots button, and then they're coming to land use and they're doing is not. And then they're excluding farmland and agricultural land if they don't want, or any type of land that they don't want. There's pasture, poultry farms, and you can just type in farm and remove these and get rid of all of those agricultural properties if that's something you're looking to do. That's been a big use for that. But going down, I know last sale date was a big one for you. You use that a lot, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah. I just don't want to send mail to somebody who bought the property 6 months ago.
Exactly. So for that, we have here last sale date. So if you didn't want, say you want to exclude anything that has been sold from 2020 to now, so you don't want to include anything for the last 4 years or so, you type in 2020 here in the maximum field. So it hasn't been sold in the last 4 years. There are we have great coverage on this now, last sale date, but there are properties that will not have data in that spot. So if
and that's good. You want those properties in this list because that usually means it was last sold before they kept track of this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It could be 20, 30 years ago.
Right. It was last sold 50 years ago, and there's not going to be a sale date on there. So I'm glad you have that include unknown sale dates because that's important.
That's going to be automatically checked. If you don't want it for whatever reason, you can get rid of it and uncheck that box. And then you come down to some of our proprietary AI filters. So we have landlocked here. So if you want to make sure it has road access, this is going to be, it's either city road, county road, state road, all that type of stuff. It's not going to count easements, private easements that aren't really documented. There might be a few lines that says it on the deed. You will miss out on those, but that's like 1 every 20 property that's landlocked. This does a really good job this does a really good job at understanding if it's a road or not.
Like a dirt road?
It would do dirt roads. Any road that's classified as a road, it would do if it has legal access.
Awesome.
And there's some people will ask like, hey, there's a road going to this property. And I'll look in the back end and I'll say there is a road going to this property, but that's not a road. That's a service road for utilities that's not allowed to be accessed by anyone else. So it does a good job of knowing, utility roads versus electric and all these other roads versus a drivable street for the public.
Yeah.
Then right under that, you have road frontage. This is a huge one, especially for people that go into big properties. You can put the amount of great properties you get from this. Like if you put 1,000 feet of road frontage and bump this up to 20 to 50 acres, you're going to get double-sided road frontage. You're going to get really, really good properties back. This is the most powerful thing on the website is understanding this road frontage here and being able to target and subdivide or whatever you want to do. Or just a lot of people would just put like 150 feet if they just want to make sure they have plenty of road frontage. You can also use the landlocked.
This is really important because, you might have like a weird, really narrow piece of land that you can't do anything with. Right. And
Correct.
So if you're interested in subdividing it or just having a more usable lot, that road frontage is important to have a minimum there because that means you can do more things with the land. You can subdivide it if you want, or it's not a strange sized property, if that makes sense, right?
Yep. That's a really good point. This is getting better quality land in your hands, essentially. And then we have the FEMA and the wetlands as well. So this is calculated by percentage of the property that is taken by wetlands. So if you didn't want anything with 50% or more, you just put in 50% here. Nothing, I don't want any wetlands with over 50%. If you wanted to do the same on FEMA, you do it there as well. And then this is going to remove anything that's more than half wet. Some people like it completely dry. They want to do 80%. They want really nice land, especially if you're doing big subdivides and you have this at 1,500 feet road frontage. If you're going to subdivide it up, you can't have a lot of wetlands or else some parcels are going to be bad to subdivide.
Right. Right.
So it really just depends your business strategy. I like if this was mine, I'd probably do around 50. I'm fine with 50. Even if I have 40%, 50, 60% in the wetlands or flood zone, you can still buy and sell a lot of these properties.
Now, let me ask you, how you don't have to give me your proprietary stuff, but are you doing that from AI visually, looking at an overlay of a wetlands or floodplains on a property, or is that coming from? Um, does
We
that make sense?
so the reason this is AI is because we get it from multiple sources. So we do get some data from the overlays and looking at those, and then we get some also from different sources that sell, like FEMA, that sell the overlay boundaries, and they tell you where the coordinates are of all the boundaries
Okay.
and stuff too. And we kind of just combine things together and look at it as a
Nice.
whole.
Nice. Awesome.
And then along with that, we'll move on. So I'll just keep wetlands there. You can do corporate owned if you don't want it. This is a kind of a newer thing that we've added is include any words. So you can type in, if you don't want to do corporate owned, and you can say corporate owned no to get rid of LLCs, trusts, but those get rid of trusts, which you don't want to do a lot of times from my understanding of what the feedback we've gotten.
Yeah.
So if you just want to not include, a certain list of words, you can have these in here and just put enter after everyone, corp. You can put
So
in any
those
word
are words in the owner's name.
in the owner's name, correct?
Okay.
And you can exclude all those. And if you do come up with a big list and put hard work and put all these different words in, what you're going to do after you filter these and you go through all the advanced filters, you go through the wetlands, road frontage, all the proprietary AI ones. If you want to put in any other filters, you can come into the advanced. I'm just scrolling through this to show you. You can do out of state, out of county, corporate owned, like we talked, do not mail, sale prices. You could do old sale prices, financing type, all that stuff. Once you work hard, you make all your filters, you're going to want to come to the top here, or the bottom, I should say, where it says 9 applied, and you can save your filter. So I'm just going to save, this is Ashtabula 2 to 10 acres. And you can just save whatever.
Nice.
And then even though this is Ashtabula, you can just delete this and come back, and you can always swap the state if you move states. You do need to save it with the state, but you can always swap it out as well.
Nice.
So then you hit apply. I don't have many filters going on here. I think we did 2 to 10. We did vacant land. Let this load up for a second.
And so you have coverage in all 50 states?
Yeah, all 50 states we have coverage with all these proprietary filters. There are some FEMA missing counties, but it's less than, I think, 20, and they're in pretty remote areas. So out of 3,300, we're in good shape for that, and we're looking to fill those out as well. But we got 2,100 results. The good thing about this too is you're going to be able to see all these results on a map. So you can hit show on map and kind of scroll in to see what kind of land we got. You can put on your mapping filters down here in the bottom right, and you can look, okay, let's make sure none of these are in wetlands. Let's make sure the filters are working right. You'll look, all these have good road frontage. We did 150 minimum. All these will be really nice properties. They're going to have road frontage. They're not going to be wet. And you can kind of just scroll through and hop on that. This one's probably on the border. You can click in this. You see how much wetlands that has?
Yeah.
Actually, that's wetlands. So you can click on it. You can go on the property card here. And somewhere in here, it shows wetlands. Wetlands coverage 24%.
All right. Maybe not now, but I want to talk about slope percentage and what you recommend with that. Because I'm telling you, there's like 5 things here that you can't do filters and searches for any other way. Road frontage, vacant structures actually from images, and wetlands, floodplains, road access, and slope. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And you see the road frontage here. It tells you that on all the property cards. It's not landlocked. You can go to one that looks like landlocked and just verify it that it is. But in general, that's the main filtering for it. Was that enough to go over from a filter standpoint? Do you want me to dive into the map a little bit?
Well, explain the slope filters. And how do you use that? What do you recommend for that?
So right now, this is actually a good property to go over. Is this in Ohio? Yeah. So right now we have the slope data in the card. By the time you guys are listening to this, it's probably on the filters. This is new data. It's not on the filters right now, but it will be coming right back to the filtered search. And you're going to be able to filter out extreme sloped properties, average slopes. You're going to be able to really get rid of heavily sloped areas. That's the goal. I wouldn't overuse it, but what I would do is, get rid of any extreme slope 15% or more. This is how we classified it. Extreme slopes 15% plus. I would get rid of anything that has 50% of the land greater than that.
Mm.
So anything that 50% or more, that's over 15%, that's going to be this is very sloped land. You can hit the 3D button and kind of see how sloped this land's going to be once see that it's dipping into a
Oh
valley.
my.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So you could say, all right, if the slope is extreme, which is over 15%, or if over 50% of the property is at least 15% sloped, then exclude it.
I would be as simple as that, just to remove really bad sloped properties. Because the other thing we have, you want to be in the ballpark if people are double closing or it's on the edge, you want to be negotiating with these people, get the price down, and you don't want to remove every single property if it's on the
Right.
border. That's what
Yeah.
slope's a weird one, especially if you're in really sloped areas, it's more normal. So if you're in West Virginia, it might need to be different slope than if you're in Florida or South
Yeah.
Carolina or something. So I think it depends also on where you are to answer your question. But we do have a new AI tool with slope, and that's our slope report right here. So you can see this button, slope. You can click that. This is for platinum members only. This is AI that's going to analyze the slope on a property. It takes 1 to 3 minutes to generate. It is a PDF, so I won't be able to pull it up and share it. But what it does, this is all the generic data. This isn't AI here. This is just data scanning. We have every 1 by 1 meter piece of land in the whole United States. We have data on it. So we're measuring all 1 by 1 meter land in the whole, and then we put it against each other. The machine learning looks at the boundaries of this property. It analyzes all the slope, and then it comes up with what it's called clusters. So it circles flat spots on a map, if there are any flat spots, and where that's more likely to be buildable. But it also has a lot of different shades that you can actually see. Instead of clicking the contour lines are hard to read. You can get a lot of information from contour lines, but it doesn't always tell the real story because it's hard to see. They're spaced out. They're 20-foot lines. There's so much going on in between this line and this line that we don't know about. That's why we read a 1 by 1 meter square there. So the AI tool just analyzes the land and tells you how sloped it is. It has a bunch of different maps, and then it highlights clusters, which is just flat areas on the land if it sees any.
Okay. Nice.
Cool. So from there, that's a little bit about the map. You can look at your wetlands, water features, soil type. If you guys get into that whole buildable perk test stuff, you can look at the soil type. You can click the soil type, go through what it's classified as. Usually the greener it is, the more likely it is to be built, and the orange/red, the more rocky and harder the soil gets in general. This is USDA, United States agricultural overlay. So I would take it with a grain of salt and just use it as a reference point. Don't use it as 100% bulletproof solution.
Yeah. In fact, I never use it.
Yeah, I don't either, to be honest, but people wanted it. So I was like, all right, we'll put it on. But yeah, so you can analyze land from here. That's enough with all of that. A lot of people actually have been using this city limits boundary to see if you're inside or outside city limits. I guess it makes a big difference with city restrictions versus county-wide restrictions. In cities are a lot more. So we have this little city limits overlay on. We recently added as well. That's been a big use for it. Surprisingly, a lot of people are using that city limits one. But going from there, your property card here on the left has all your data, not all of it, but it has a lot of the data on it. You can see last sale price, all of that stuff, sale date if there is one on it. Slope data, the wetlands data, all of that stuff, owner information is on this card. If you wanted to add, if you wanted to just skip trace individual properties for free, you can do that. So you can just click this skip trace button. I'll pull this back up, the skip trace, and it automatically fills everything out. You just have to hit confirm. It's going to load, send it over, and it's going to give you a phone number. This one came back without a hit for whatever reason. I'll try it another one.
Wait, don't, because if I put this, when I put this on YouTube, I might get the video removed.
Okay. Keep that out
because you can't show that personal information.
Perfect.
But that's cool. So that's included in the subscription.
Yeah. So that's called a one-click skip trace. That's all free. That's included in the subscription. You can go across and skip trace properties, call neighbors up, whatever you guys want to do. Call that owner if you're cold calling. The other thing you can do here is going back to our filtered search, is you can save this list. If you went through, you're like, I don't want this. That thing's so sloped. You have someone go through it. You don't want this property. You can uncheck all these boxes and you can save your list. Or if you're ready to export, you can export from here. A lot of people save and build lists is what I'm seeing, Joe. They're saving list and then they're editing their list and then they're adding things to a list as well. So you can either create a new list from this filtered search. We had 2158 results on this list view. You can create a new list or you can add to an existing list as well.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
one thing people are doing with this, do you have anything to go over before I move on to that?
Well, I'm writing down my questions, but go ahead and you keep on doing this.
I was just going to say the one thing people are doing when they have negotiations back or so interested seller, whatever it is, they're going into properties and then in the property card, you can add these properties to a list. And I'm just going to put this in my purchase property list. Maybe I just purchased it, or due diligence list. And then you can kind of create it so you have a whole list over here where you can just easily pop in and click a button and get to the property you're buying or doing due diligence on. That's one thing I've seen people doing. Or you can just create a whole list out of all your filtered search as well. And then
Okay.
And then from there. But what are your questions so far?
I want to, you did it by county there. Could you show how to do like a Polygon search or to kind of circle in an area?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna refresh my screen, see if it comes back up. It's going to zoom into that property, but I'm going to bounce out. It's zooming into that property because every property does have a unique URL, Joe. So if you wanted to save a property and put this in your CRM, you can put the direct link and pull it up just from that link. It's on your export. Nice. So every single property you export will have a unique URL. You can click that button and pull it right up. So Polygon search, you'll do it from filtered search here. And instead of clicking state and county or city, you just click this little Polygon tool right here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do whatever borders you want. You can hit enter. You could do another one. You can do, I think, up to 10 or 20. Cool. And then same thing. You're just going to continue to add them to whatever you want. And then you can also save the filters with Polygon, so you don't need to come back and redraw them if you ever do that. And then you just do the same thing with your filters. Nothing changes on that. It's just you're changing the location by Polygon.
Cool. And would you ever do this to find buyers? So you've got a piece of property, you want to find people in the area who have bought land in the last year. Maybe you draw a polygon around the property.
Absolutely.
Show us how you do that.
Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to delete these.
And let's say you have a specific property you're looking at and you want to find buyers who buy land in that area.
Yeah. So what I would do, there's a lot of different ways to go about that. The first one, if this was my property that I'm buying and I wanted to find buyers for this big property right here, I would do typically. So what I would do first is, let's just say I want 10 miles. I want to reach everyone within 10 miles. I'm going to take this little line stick here and I'm going to measure out to what I think looks like 10 miles or so. That's 4. 10 might be far actually. But I'll do like a 5-mile radius or so.
Yeah.
Like that. So now I have a rough idea. In the new Polygon tool that's getting released Monday, I believe, it's you're going to be able to see the distance and everything from the Polygon. But what I'll do is I'll take a wide radius here around it. This isn't going to be perfect. I'd take more time on the front end doing this. But I'm going to stay out Ashtabula. And then I'll draw a polygon similar to that. I did it from the wrong tool. I did it from down here. I'm supposed to be, give me 1 second. I'm supposed to be doing it from up here. So same thing. Just say like that for now. So I would take this polygon, and then what I would do is I would start by doing, there's a lot of different strategies with this, but I'd start by doing anyone who owns over 20 acres of land in this area is this was a bigger property. So I'm going to target people who also own 20 acres. And I'm just going to target landowners who own 20 acres. And then you can use the same filters that you want or whatever land you want, but I'm going to do that own 20 acres or more. I'm going to keep structures because if they have a house in 20 acres, they might want 20 or 50 acres down the road from them. And then you can apply that here. And this would be a really, really good list to start. That's anyone in the area that owns 20 acres or more within this polygon. This is a really ugly polygon. Take more time on it, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, you could also say, if it's a smaller lot, in an area, Florida, for example, where people are buying a lot of these quarter acre lots, you could say, show me all of the people that that have bought property here in the last year that are corporate LLC or who live
Yes,
outside of the county, right?
correct. And that's where you just go corporate. This wouldn't be a good area for corporate owned, I don't think, because
Right.
there's a bunch of mom and pop people buying land out here. But you just do corporate owned, yes. And then you do anyone who bought land since 2022 or something like that, and then that would be
Well,
your
that
new
would be
list.
before 22, right?
Or be
You would
yes,
do so you
yes,
would
the
do
opposite.
2023 maybe there. Yeah.
So this would be after that. Yeah, this would be a really good list to start off of,
And then
especially if you're
and then
doing that
you
in
would
Florida.
you would uncheck include unknown sale days, right?
Correct. Yep, and
Yeah.
this would be your list right there.
Awesome. And then you can you get a list, you can skip trace it. Can you show a little bit how to do a bulk skip trace of a list?
Two different ways to do bulk skip trace. So one, when you're exporting your list, just click this button here. Well, remove duplicates first if you don't want duplicates.
Yeah.
That took it from 277 to 219. And then just click this button here. You can skip trace your list just from here, and it's gonna take your export file, and it's gonna take your skip trace file, and it's gonna put it into one, and it's gonna be nice and clean for you. All of them are lined up. You don't need to do any of that matching. It's gonna make it really clean. You can do it for 9 cents from here, or you can buy
Okay.
tokens and do it for 5 cents if you want to buy some tokens, or
Nice.
7 cents. So you can buy down a little bit, but that's the easiest way to do it, is just doing it with it, and then it combines the files. The other way it is, I'm not going to skip trace this just so I can buy it. And this looks a little different because I'm an admin account. So I'm going to just export this as it is. And then the other way, you can see here, I have it downloaded. I can open it up right here. I'm going to download that CSV, exit out. So say you have your data from somewhere, you can come to the skip trace tab here on the left. And then you'd place a new order. You put that in, you'd hit next.
Okay.
And then you have this button autofill your form, so you don't need to go through and do it. It's going to read the header, so you don't need to manually do that. And then you just place your order from there. You can do the same thing with tokens for the same price. The only different when you do it when you export, you get about a 10-15% discount. It takes it. What's it take? It's a 10% discount. It takes it from 10 cents to 9 cents when you do it at export.
Nice. And so what do you see a lot of your clients doing with that? Are they sending it to for cold calling, for example?
Mm-hmm.
Are they uploading that list then to a dialer for their outbound dialing?
Yeah, a lot of dialing, also a lot of texting recently with launch control. Texting's been really, really big recently for us, or the people at least closest to me. So a lot of people are texting and putting their leads. I think launch control gives you 10,000 texts a month or something like that. It's a little bit more expensive, but that's what a lot of people are texting, and putting it directly into their dialer. There is a DNC, do not contact, that comes with the skip trace as well. You'll get that on phone 1 and phone 2. So that's included in there too.
Nice. Okay, so let's talk about, I'd like to dig a little deeper into due diligence. I think you showed it a little bit, but let's say, you send out 1,000 letters and you get a couple leads that come in and you want to look that property up.
Yep.
All you have maybe are the GPS coordinates or the parcel ID. How do you look up a property?
So what you'll do is, let me just dive into a random property up here. I'm just going to take this parcel ID. So if you have the parcel ID, that's easy. You can come to the search bar at the top. There's a drop down from address. You just click APN and you put
nice.
in.
You can search by GPS coordinates too.
Correct.
That's awesome.
You can
I do that a
launch,
lot.
owner name. Yeah, GPS is a really good way to find them. All of these are besides address for vacant land. Address is the worst.
Yeah.
So any of these three work really well. APN, lat launch, or not. But this is Ohio Ashtabula. You just type it all in.
Nice.
Then it'll come right up.
Okay, so this is now where you have the owner's information, the owner's mailing address, parcel stuff. Awesome. Do you do any kind of pricing, like Priced does?
Not right now. We don't, but we do have a full-time machine learning AI team on that right now. And it's going to first be a good comp report, and it's going to take the best 5 to 10
Really?
comps and then give some averages on the price. So it's going to have average prices. It's going to have an estimated price. It's going to be kind of like a Zestimate for land. We're currently building that out. It's going to be good. I've seen some demos on it so far. They're working hard.
Wow. Do you have an estimate for that?
They're saying within a month we'll have it complete.
Oh, sweet. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so we're excited for that.
Anything else you do for due diligence when you're looking at a deal like this? What are some of the things you look at when you're seeing, hey, is this a good deal or not?
Yeah, first out, I always pull up these filters. Just say, okay, basic stuff: wet, FEMA, contour lines, and then you can see the slope from all that. This is my first go-to, is just pulling up these to see, okay, this property's nice. It's not wet. There's ag land up here, ag land in the back. This is very good land. The other thing I really like to do now is that slope report. I can't pull that up because it's a PDF and not attached to this, but that slope report is legit. It is. That was our AI and machine learning team. They put a whole nice looking PDF report that's going to give you a whole detailed report on the slope. Depends where you are. If you're in Florida, it's not as common. But if you're somewhere up north or east or west, it becomes more relevant. Those are my main filters. I also look at this. I'll go down to legal description. A lot of times, wherever it is, legal description. I don't know where it is. Municipality. It's somewhere around here. I know it's here. That's just not on mine. There's legal description somewhere. Oh, right here. And then like if you're in HOAs, things like that, it would tell you a lot of times here what lot number, HOA it is, subdivision, all that stuff as well. You can also filter by subdivisions and things like that too. It's not as accurate because not all the data is full, but that's typically what I do. I look through this card. I look at my overlays. I'll kind of understand it. Sometimes I can come to satellite here, look from different point of views. We got 3 maps. We have a street map and then 2 satellite maps right now.
Oh, nice.
And you can see if anything else is going on the land, but that's pretty much the fundamentals of what I do when I'm looking at land.
Nice. Cool. I see a video library there. That's like probably people can go to get training on this.
Yeah, lots of videos here in the video library, going over everything in depth, saving filters with the land portal, understanding the AI kind of explanation. Here's a little slope report one. You can see these maps, Joe, of the elevation change. And then at the bottom, you can't see it on this, but it circles the cluster flat areas. So we go over all the things in depth here. If you guys need videos, just feel free to email us and we can add whatever video you guys need. But yeah, that's just some tools on how to use everything. The only thing we didn't really show was the save search, which is one of the most commonly used areas. So save search, you can pull up your old searches. That's the Ashtabula one we had.
Nice.
And you can show these exact on a map again. So you can pull them right back up and start editing your list, or skip trace, or whatever you want to do. You can come directly right back to where we were, look through the parcels, uncheck different things if you don't like them. And then you can save list and you can create a new list or add to a save list as well. I don't think I was on. I think I'm only on the screen. Did you see that other tab, or was it on this one the whole time?
Yeah, I didn't see a tab open up.
Okay, it pulled it in a new tab. When I hit show on map, I'm only sharing this tab. So it pulled it in a new tab and just showed all those on the map again. But then you can export or skip trace from here as well, or just edit your list. But you can pull these up on a map is what I wanted to show.
You know, and I know some of you guys have FreedomSoft. Some of you are using other CRMs and tools. You can easily export this into a spreadsheet and then import it into whatever CRM you're using. And if you are using FreedomSoft, again, this is easy. The only thing you would need to add, if you're using my signature edition of FreedomSoft, is you want to add a new column for a reference ID. And that reference ID is what you would put on the letters or the postcards that you're sending out. And when you do that, you just import it in, map the fields, and import it into FreedomSoft. And then, you know, just so you all know too, when you're mapping your fields, you can save that template of the maps of the fields in FreedomSoft and bring that in very, very easily. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you on FreedomSoft, can you also import the URLs so they can have it in there for the links?
You would probably, that's a great question, because that would be really nice to have. Because I want you guys to understand this. Every property has a unique URL for that specific property, which gives you all of that detailed information. There's not an easy way to get that with other data providers. It's really, really difficult, if not impossible. But so you would need to create a new custom field in FreedomSoft called maybe Land Portal Link. Okay. And when you're importing in your spreadsheet, just make sure that field is mapped. So in the spreadsheet for this data, there will be a column for the URL, and just map that URL field to the FreedomSoft field called Land Portal Link. And that will be really nice, because if you're pulling that property up and looking at it, they responded to your mail, you can easily click that link and open it up in a separate tab and go directly into that property and see all the detailed information about it. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so let's talk about pricing. You sell this at different levels, right?
Absolutely. So I don't know if I'm on an admin, so I don't know if it's going to show me pricing on here. Let me see if it does, though. I have no active subscription.
Well, I'm going to share my screen. How about that?
Yeah, you share your screen. You have the updated pricing.
All right. So let me remove you there. I'm going to share my screen tab. All right. You guys see that? I don't know how big.
Looks good on my end.
All right. It looks good there. You can get it for free trial, and starts at $29.95 a month, which is really good. 8 cents a record for exporting, right?
Yep.
But even if you don't do any exporting, you get all of that property data, which is really credible. For $60 a month, $59.95, or 6 cents a record, you get all of this. So let me zoom in just so you all can see this real good here. At the base level, you get bulk data reports. Why don't you walk through this?
Yeah, so you get the bulk data reports, like you said, for 8 cents. You get the integrated map, all the single owner property cards like we walk through. The skip tracing, that's the only thing on this page that needs to be updated. You can get that as low as 5 cents with the tokens. And when you do it on export without any tokens, it's 9 cents. But you can get it down to 5 cents if you know you're going to be using a lot. You get all the data. The data stores in your order history for 60 days, then it expires. There's free single skip tracing on both this, so you can click into those properties and get phone numbers within 3 seconds. The AI land filters, which is the structure, removing the structures from the satellite that we talked about, you get those with both this. The landlocked filters, the road frontage filters, and the flood zone filters as well. The only thing that's not on here, I don't think I see wetlands. The wetlands filters come on both these as well. The only thing you don't get on the premium plan right now is the slope data and the AI slope report. So you're not going to see those percentages, and you're not going to be able to export the slope reports either. That's pretty much the main difference. And then the 8 cents or 6 cents a record. So you do get a 25% discount at the platinum as well.
Listen to this, guys. The amount of money that you save from not mailing somebody who has a landlocked property, a property that's in too much of a wetland, that has a structure on it that you don't want, and maybe is sloped too much. The amount of money you save by not mailing to them pays for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a no-brainer, because this is saving you money, because you're removing people that you don't want to mail.
Yeah.
You want to mail people that have at least 100 foot of road frontage, for example, right? You only should be mailing people that don't have landlocked properties. That's why this is so valuable. And there's no other tool that does this. I think this is fantastic.
I broke the math down one time just from mailers that we were doing. And I said, okay, if we didn't have this data versus if we did, and we were mailing high volume at the time. So like it would save thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And then that's not even talking about the time, those people calling you back, negotiating, looking at it, being like it's wet, having to make that call back. Hey, actually, I can't buy this. It's all in the wetlands. So it saves you all that time. It's just business efficiency at the end of the day, between money, time, and all the effort.
Nice. I love it. And again, guys, go to joemccall.com/landportal, joemccall.com/landportal. You're going to get access to these tools that Daniel's been talking about. My favorite, again, it's actually a real vacant land lot that it might be classified as a single family residence, right? In the county records. And so if you pull a list from a normal data provider, it's not going to pull that property, even though it is vacant. There's nothing on it. So that's using their AI to get that. You can also say, only give me properties that have at least 100 foot of road frontage, and actually has road access on it, right? Is not more than 25 or 50% wetlands or floodplains. Does not have more than 50% of the property, at least in a 15% slope or more, right? And that will eliminate a lot of properties that you don't want to be mailing to. You can get that list. They can skip trace it for you as well. You can do single skip tracing for free, or you can pay 5 cents a record for skip tracing, which is phenomenal. It's really, really good. Get that into a spreadsheet. And then the other thing I love that maybe people don't recognize how important this is. And I got to wrap this up right now. But getting a single URL for every property, getting a link for every property. So when you put that into your database, you can quickly click on a link to get access to all of that property detail right away without having to look it up and search for GPS coordinates or APN parcel. Like that could take 5 minutes sometimes trying to find the property, right? But you get it now with just a URL. You can click on that, opens up the property so you can do your research and due diligence and just flip those things off and on to see the wetlands and the floodplains and the neighbors. And it's a really good tool. And I'm excited and to promote this. Daniel, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thanks for having us. For you listeners, make sure to use Joe's link. He's a great ambassador for us, and you do great things. So make sure to give Joe some credit by using that link. But Joe, thanks for having us.
Cool. Thank you, Daniel. And guys, appreciate you all. Daniel, how can people get a hold of you outside of the land portal? Are you active on YouTube and IGs and all that?
Yeah, Instagram at Daniel Apke, APKE. I'm really active on there. And then we have a YouTube channel called the Apke Brothers as well. But those are the two best places to reach me.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys again. JoeMcCall.com/land portal. Go there. See you later. Bye-bye, everybody.